Protect us from all our worries and all our anxieties as we wait in joyful hope for the coming of our Saviour, Jesus Christ. Under the shadow of the pines, quiet rivers around, we pray together our prayer of peace. Lord Jesus Christ, I give you peace.
My peace I give you. Look not on our sins, but faith of your church, and grant us the peace and unity of your kingdom, for you live forever and ever.
May the peace of the Lord be with you all.
And also with you.
Let us share with each other this evening the sign of God's peace.
Dignitaries from all over the world, county councillors, bishops, reverend fathers, and what is about to transpire in Enniscorthy today. Standing in the heart of historic Enniscorthy, 200 years today, waiting in the calm before the storm, like my direct ancestors, waiting to fight and die for their ideals. We are proud Wexford men and women today, remembering the 20,000 Wexfordians who died in a few short weeks. Likewise, the men of 98 will be proud of the Enniscorthy today. Exactly 200 years on, Ireland is putting in place an appropriate legacy for our fallen heroes. The current peace process cover fastens the ideals of the United Irishman.
California, Los Angeles, and we brought with us some pikes made in the United States out of a titanium material which would have been not obviously used during the rebellion. However, it's a material that we use today in warfare, making parts for the rocket engines and the other types of heat exchangers that are used in the aircraft industry. So we made these up and brought them over here and hoping that we could participate in the reenactment of Vinegar Hill. And if you look at them, they look very authentic, but they're actually a lot lighter and a lot more probably colorful than the type that would have been used, that would have been hammered out by the various forges in the area. But it's good to be here, and we're looking forward to commemorating those that fought and lost 200 years ago.
In my life so far, and I've spent 20 years trying to understand what went on in 1798 and become more admiring of the principles and the ideals of the United Irishmen who organised 1798 ever since. And of course Enniscorthy here is the epicentre of 1798, and it's also something which is absolutely indelibly linked with the Wexford identity. And as a Wexford man and a very proud yellow belly, I feel extremely exhilarated today to see the whole county, as it were, pouring in here into Enniscorthy. And I think it's a sign that the principles and ideals of the United Irishmen and the sacrifice that generation have made has never been forgotten since 1798. And I also think that it's a sign that the younger people and the parishes of the whole county, that 1798 has been terrifically vibrant this year. The whole commemoration effort has been absolutely wonderful, and it gives delight to those who say that Wexford people have begun to forget 1798. I think it's been absolutely marvellous, and I think the sheer size of the crowd and the colour and the weather here today in Wexford is marvellous. And I've brought my three young children, the youngest of whom is 2.5, just so that they can say when they're 50 or 60 or 70 or whatever that they were here on this bicentenary day in 1798. So I think it's just terrific from the point of view of both 1798, but also from the point of view of modern Enniscorthy, which I think has upgraded itself in a wonderful way in the last 2 or 3 years, as modernised without losing its character. I think Enniscorthy is one of the most attractive towns in Ireland, and I think that it's terrific the way the whole redevelopment has been handled. It's in fact Enniscorthy is my favourite town, so from that point of view as well, it's just wonderful to be here today.
The atmosphere is palpable, isn't it? It's just brilliant, it's alive.
Yes, it is, yeah. No, because, and I think that the whole kind of pikemen operation has been marvellous, and that's really what has got the grassroots stirring. And of course, once you get the pikemen moving, well then each parish has to be as good as the next one. And from Sunday to Sunday this year, I just think the uniforms and the quality of the march and the banners, the size of the contingents march, and the fact that this year, I think for the first time in commemorations, that we have quite a few of our Protestant fellow citizens marching is terrific. I think the fact that the women are marching this time round is terrific, and that it shows that we've again upgraded our kind of commemorative effort in a way which is far more inclusive and not threatening to any of our people, and I think that is terrific as well. So that, you know, in general, I think the way that 1798 has been handled this year is an absolute credit to the people of Wexford.
And it's brought everybody together, like there's a great unity here.
Yes,
would you notice that?
Yes, oh, absolutely, because 1798 is something from history, but the other point being that it's something which is not just the possession of the historians or the kind of, that is something which is just the elitist or for the few. This is something which involves everybody, men, women and children, and it's a really genuine grassroots thing, and it's a real kind of living history operation, you know, and that's really what I think is the most striking thing about it, that this is something which has just gone right out through Wexford, from the Hoop to Castletown, or from Kilrush down to Carnsore, that it's really brought the whole county together in a wonderful kind of way. And I think in some ways the culmination of that is obviously here today under the shadow of Vinegar Hill, 200 years to the day, from the great sacrifice that was made there on the 21st of June 1798.
What are you going to do today?
Well, I'm going to look now for a vantage point where I can see the whole parade, and I'm just going to relax and enjoy it and just savour the moment.
Well, we let you go, and thank you very much for talking to us.
You're most welcome. Míle maigad. Thanks.
Thanks.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted. This is the culmination of 10 years planning between the County Council, Camorra and the Enniscorthy Urban Council. The town is looking superb, and I want to pay tribute to everyone who planted the flowers, put up the flags, and it's a very historic day to think that on this day 200 years ago people so tragically died. But I think we can learn from our history and take the best from it, and I'd just like to welcome everyone to Enniscorthy and say that I hope that with the National Heritage 98 Centre and the new tourism facilities will be a focal point for future tourism.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Enjoy your day. Enniscorthy television for just a moment.
Of course.
On your way out to see
Of course.
all the festivities.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying today?
Oh, very much,
Are you
yeah.
looking forward to it?
I'm doing the commentary now in a few minutes. I'm looking forward to it enormously, yeah. I think that it's important to tell people exactly the context and where they are, that they're actually standing on a battlefield. At this time, 200 years ago, was, in fact, there was burning houses, dead, screaming women, ashes, smoke, the military taking over the prisoners and so on, that sort of thing, and Vinegar Hill in the same way, over a huge wide area, because it wasn't merely Vinegar Hill, it was Enniscorthy fell in one of the biggest battles of the last great big field competent battle in military terms in Irish history, you know. So it's desperately important, and of course the fellows who are marching are the descendants of those men who fought. And if you look at the faces, they're the faces of the Wexford insurgents.
You're doing a wonderfully well.
Doing a wonderful job.
Great.
Doing a wonderful job.
We'll let you go and enjoy the performance. Thank you very much.
Thanks a minute. You're welcome.
Bye-bye. stand and
Yeah, okay.
What do you think of Enniscorthy today?
Enniscorthy looks magnificent today, and Wexford looks great. And looking across from the top of Vinegar Hill, across the sweep of landscape, it was magnificent. Everybody's having a great day, and I'm very proud as a Wexford man to be back here to commemorate 1798.
We're all proud of you and enjoy your day.
Proud of my Wexford compatriots.
Great, well, it's lovely to have you.
Okay.
Enjoy the day. Thank you very much.
Enniscorthy television, of course, yes.
Yeah, how are you enjoying your stay in Mexico
Very much
today?
so. It's the epicenter of 1798, and the atmosphere is terrific. And I feel a certain pride in Wexford people today.
Pride surging in everybody today. Have you seen the Pike Men yet?
Not assembled, no. I've been up on Vinegar Hill and had a chance to look at the monument there. And I have a whole new admiration for Wexford and its people. I'm lucky to be able to share today with them the historical culture which we have.
Thank you very much and enjoy your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to see Colin Tobin on the press.
Thoroughly wonderful lunch, great company on a wonderful occasion.
Great, thank you for having a lovely afternoon.
I'm looking forward to it.
Look forward to being on the Thank you very much.
Thank you for your hospitality.
Bye-bye. In Enniscorthy, are you enjoying your stay?
Oh, very much. Always. I come here quite a lot. I was here for the commemoration
Yes.
2 weeks ago, so I'm very happy to be here. It's a very important occasion.
And have you seen our gathering of Pike Men yet?
Well, I had my picture taken.
Right,
some of them. And they told me that, because I always wondered about their vest. They said there's a lady here who knits their vest, which I think is very nice.
So you're not going to get one yourself?
Well, she offers me one. I'd like it.
Right, well, maybe we'll see you decked out.
Okay.
So you're going to have a wonderful day here.
I think it's
enjoy
beautiful. It's going to
and the weather
looking forward to the parade. It's a perfect day.
Thank you very much
Thanks
for talking to us.
Bye.
First of all, may I turn on the Wexford County Council and the member of the Urban Council welcome you all here today to historic Enniscorthy in County Wexford as we commemorate those who suffered and died for Ireland's freedom and liberty on Vinegar Hill on the 21st of June 1798. So it's digitized the world, many people from traveled from different parts of the world, also welcome the ambassadors from a number of different countries, and our friends, the mayor of Enniscorthy, who we are privileged for a long number of years. As be aware that this is we're not capable of what the then has a areas is contributing to them and contributing to what they accomplish and contributing to
I'm joined by Anthony Cronin, and he read a poem today on Vinegar Hill. But before you read it for us, just tell us a little bit about yourself. You were born in Enniscorthy.
I was born in Enniscorthy, Slaney Street, just at the back of the castle here, and brought up there.
So today had loads of memories for you.
Oh, very many.
What went through your mind?
Well, the whole thing went through my mind, I think, you know. Childhood and growing up and being back here, and what a nice thing it is to come back and read a poem on Vinegar Hill.
So you went up there today and at 3 o'clock?
Yes, you see.
What was it like up there for anyone who didn't see it?
Oh, it was lovely. It was lovely, and the clouds were blowing past, and the pikemen all looked very serious and determined. It was very nice up there.
So it's a very moving poem.
Thank you. For early battle, coming with ribbons in their hats to join their neighbours at the crossroads by the chapel, as on a holy day of obligation. War is release and sudden holiday. For some, release now from a nightly horror, the flaming thatch, the mingled oaths and screams. The lovely summer weather gave them leave to sleep beneath the bright and beckoning stars, and wake each day to liberty's wide dome. But nothing happens as a wish would have it, and war is chance, Its currents rip us far beyond all headlands and all reach of rescue, beyond what heart can hope or soul can stomach. Too soon the Slaney's waves were stained. The barrow carried its cargo seawards from Euross to cold, wide waters where no sail appeared. Their columns heaving now with frantic households, not heroes, merely people, but the pikes their hedge and shelter in the broken weather. Here on this hill they stood, where we assemble, a civic gathering in a different time. History, the nightmare from which all mankind must struggle to awake, recedes at last. And our normality accommodates the dream of liberty, equality, for which they had to rend the normal day, to take the lives of others, give their own. What seemed so distant then, to us mundane, we should recall the price they had to pay.
Thank you very much for reading that. It's a very moving poem.
Thank you.
So in it I found it very poignant that they wore their Sunday best.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, they did that, didn't
yes, they did, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And they would have fought neighbourhood by neighbourhood, you know, parish by parish.
Yeah. As we saw the pikemen today, they recreated all that. So you must have found that very moving. How did you get inspiration for that poem? Like when?
Well, of course, 1798 was very much a reality to everybody in these parts, and one was looking out the window at Vinegar Hill every day, or looking from the street at Vinegar Hill every day. And therefore, it was a pretty immediate thing. And over the years, I thought of it quite a lot. I actually remember the 1948 celebrations, which were much the same as today's. It's now a Wexford tradition that the pikemen should march in columns. And then, of course, there was 1989.
So when did you actually write this poem?
In the last few weeks. And I just finished it really only last week.
So we're honoured to have it here on Enniscorthy television, to have it, and again, it's a very moving poem, and shows us how brave those men were.
Yes. And also, I tried to suggest the complexity of it, you know.
Yes.
And the unlooked for results of conflict. And to emphasize that we now have in our hands what they had to give so much to get.
Yeah, as the last line says, we should recall the price they had to pay.
Yes.
Yes. Well, anyway, thank you, Anthony Cronin. It's lovely meeting you, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Join Colm Toveen. Colm, you're welcome along to Enniscorthy television. What did today mean to you?
Well, it was a great day. We went up to Vinegar Hill and we saw all the parade passing by, and it was great how seriously people took it, how it wasn't done as a pageant, but you could get a sense of what a group of people might have been like at that time. People wearing collarless shirts and caps, and people looking sometimes very serious, you know, so you try and got some sense, because it's very hard for us to imagine, I think, you know, what it might have been like for people then to have given up everything and just gone off, you know, with pikes. And of course people have really suffered a great deal afterwards, and it's very hard for us to imagine because we live in a completely different world where that sort of activity is unimaginable now. So to some extent up there watching these crowds coming and people coming in groups like that, you got some sense of what Wexford people might look like under those conditions.
Yes, Nicky Furlong I think pointed that out. He said looking at the faces, they're the faces that were there 200 years ago.
Yeah, I think that it's important to remember that, you know, Wexford hasn't had in the last 200 years a big influx of people, that more or less the same sort of people are living in exactly the same places, and names haven't changed, and to a large extent faces haven't changed, and you got a sense of that watching the faces, that there is a sort of Wexford look, which seems to me to be, you know, half Norman, you know, a lot of long faces. I thought just looking at everybody going by, all dressed like that, all you have to do is imagine, just say half those people would be dead, say by the end of the week. Just how much slaughter there was, and that's, for us again, a really hard thing to imagine. So it does help us to imagine that. I don't know about, I mean, obviously the pride, it is astonishing what happened here and that it happened nowhere else. And that no matter what anybody says, that there were ideas of liberty, there were ideas that actually what was happening was wrong. But of course it took so long afterwards. I mean, Catholic emancipation comes in 1829, but only for people with property. So people with no property still hadn't got a vote really until possibly towards the end of the 19th century. So you're talking about 100 years later even, things still didn't happen. And of course the revenge, I mean the retribution was enormous. I suppose the number of executions and tortures afterwards were just astonishing. So in a way we live in a world now where it's hard to imagine all that. I always think Enniscorthy, you can begin to imagine Enniscorthy with the building of the cathedral in the mid-1840s. You can see the town coming in, shops coming in, farmers coming in, fair days, market days. But before about 1847, 1848, it's very hard to imagine Enniscorthy. I always find that.
And of course people didn't talk too much about 1798, did they really?
No, although we were brought up with the songs. I mean, the songs are sort of vital, aren't they? Where, there's one stage you're driving down and you see all the signs for Bula Vogue and Tuberneering and Owlert.
And the song goes through your mind.
So we were all brought up certainly with those songs as vitally important. And, because I did some work in the north and everywhere you go from Enniscorthy, Enniscorthy, Father Murphy, it's like a brand name, it's instantly recognisable. So that even though people didn't talk about it maybe in great detail, because I didn't know about Sculla Vogue, for example. I never heard about Sculla Vogue here. It was only in Dublin I heard about Sculla Vogue. But now, of course, that's all in the open now. Things have changed a lot in the way we respond to all that. Yes, everyone agrees that there was slaughter, and the slaughter was wrong, and it was a disaster in lots of ways. But there again, we see it as part of a general thing that happened almost everywhere, in those same years, everywhere. People with no property, and Protestant intellectuals or other intellectuals coming together to actually say, let's see if we could do this. And in France they had the revolution. Here it was a disaster because we didn't win. I mean, it would have been much better if we'd won, obviously. But the whole business of what crowds do in history. I'd love to see a museum of the crowd. What happens when you see a crowd going by? Your automatic feeling you should join them.
Yes, yeah.
It's an extraordinary idea.
I know.
Yeah.
And would you think after it, you said about so many people being killed, how lonely it must have been, say, in these streets of Enniscorthy?
Well, I always view Wexford, Wexford is a very conservative place. People tend to be very cautious. If you look at voting patterns in the century, things don't change much. And people, as you know, are sort of careful. People live quietly. It isn't a great, a place for, you don't see a possibility of huge change occurring here in any way. So that you do wonder if a new society was created after 1798, or perhaps even after the famine, where people became much more cautious, much more careful. But today, looking at people, I got a sense that's true. But if you push people too far, if you say provoke people, those Norman faces walking along today with pikes, if you push me, that even though I'll live quietly, I'll obey the law, there'll be no social outrage, but just push me. And you had that sense of looking at people, which is terribly interesting.
That's true, and it almost made your flesh creep, didn't it? It was so unusual. I mean, it's something, it was brilliant today, I think. So you enjoyed it all.
I think the people who took part deserve great credit.
All the pikemen and everybody who organised it. You can imagine the organisation that went into it. What was the special moment for you?
When I realised what was happening, that it wasn't going to be a pageant, that it was just going to be simple. It was the most simple thing you could do. You could get people to dress in just whatever plain way they wanted, but like wearing collarless shirts or open neck shirts, caps, and just pikes, and walking along simply. In other words, you didn't need to be rich, you didn't need to be an actor. You could just do it simply. I thought that simplicity was great.
And nobody knows why each person, they went for their own reasons.
They were serious about it, though.
Going in the footsteps of their ancestors.
Yeah, they were serious about it, yeah.
Yes, so you enjoyed it?
I certainly did.
And what are you going to do with the rest of the day now?
I'm going to Stamps Public House now.
Oh, Riyadh. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Okay.
Pretty good. The parade was nice. It was nice. A famous town, a very famous town. One of the very famous towns in Ireland. A very famous town. Vinegar Hill.
What's the rest of Vinegar Hill there now?
Yeah, what's that? Yeah. Well, I reckon it's what's spread to the Vinegar Hill. The whole population from every town came here to watch Vinegar Hill. Anything ever comes into County Wexford, always comes from Enniscorthy. From from the Strawberry Fair to the Tour de France, and from the Tour de France into the county show, the county museum in Enniscorthy, and particularly anything is in the county where it comes from Enniscorthy. I had night or the bright meadows of Shimmerley. I rebel I'm brought the neighbors from far and you find us now, eh? I know. Sit at me.
You broke the spring in your...
Asses are more important, aren't they?
Don't let it.
Now look at yourselves. Jim, play his Let me get out of there.
No faces in there.
To the top of Vinegar Hill, where they will let the bonfire, which will